Did you know that over 75% of doctor visits are related to stress? And that chronic stress actually shrinks your brain, can speed up aging, and can take years off your life. Here's the real killer. Stress isn't just something that happens to you, it's something that you're doing. You're engaged in it. This is something that you're a participant in. The good news is if it's something you're doing, then it's something you can stop doing. And in this video, we're going to uncover how stress sneaks into your mind and body and how you have the power to exact control over it. And stick around because what we're going to do is share how stress works against you, but also practical ways you can stop doing stress. Most people don't realize this, but stress is something we're actively doing. It's not a passive process. So many people think stress is passive. It's happening to me, but it's something we're doing. Think about this. What happens when you're stressed? Does your muscles tighten up? Does your jaw clench? Do you have shallow breathing? Does your heart rate go up? Yes, all those things are happening, and that's how you know you're having stress. You're doing stress. I want to share a couple stories with you on how we are active participants in stress. A long time ago, in a place far, far away, known as Portland, Oregon, I was driving in rush hour traffic. And what happened was I could feel myself getting all stressed out. My blood pressure was going up. I was gripping the steering wheel tight. I was wondering, could I get to the exit I need to get to? Would people let me merge over? It was like bumper to bumper traffic. And I was thinking in my mind, how long is this going to take? Am I going to be able to make this? I'm looking at my clock thinking, oh my goodness. And I was wondering, are people going to think I'm unreliable? I can't make it on time. All these thoughts racing through my mind. And then what I realized is, whoa, I am actually doing stress. I'm creating stress. The person in the car next to me, when I looked over to them, they looked like they were fine, singing songs or doing something, but they were totally relaxing. They were not stressed out. So we were in the same situation. I was stressed out about it. The person next to me in that car, they weren't. So when I took a deep breath in and just relaxed, I loosened the grip of my steering wheel and I decided to focus on what I could control. And in that moment, it was like I flipped a switch and I went from being stressed and anxious and tight to being more relaxed. My mind and my body both took the change there. My body was more relaxed. You could feel the tension relieves. And my mind shifted. Another example where I realized stress was really getting to me was early in my teaching career, where I had the principal come in and then I could just feel immediately, that tension in your body, you feel it, your mind starts racing. I started second guessing myself, should I follow the lesson plan I had? Should I do something different? Just all that stuff going through my mind. And I just felt all this tension in myself. As soon as the principal left, I don't know how long he was there, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. But as soon as he left, I just had this wave of relief, just release from me. And it is like the stress had just been sucked out of the room. But was it the principal that was causing me stress? Or was it thoughts in my mind that were creating stress? And I want to challenge you on this, is that when you have something that you feel is stressing you, you have to be an active participant in it. I have to take some meaning. I have to see what's happening and I have to interpret that in my mind in a way that's causing me stress. Because I could have viewed the principal as someone coming in, and even if I goofed up or made a mistake, he was there to help me or to guide me or to give me some direction. Instead, I was viewing it as, oh my goodness, I don't want to goof up. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to have any problems here. So it was how I was internally processing it that was causing me stress. In your own life, think about how you use the word stress. If you say, I was cooking, do you feel like cooking happened to you? Like you're just sitting there and somehow cooking just attacked you or got Got you? Or what about driving? When you're driving, do you feel like you're a victim or something happened and they were driving you? Or what about walking? Walking is the same thing. It's an active thing. You're participating in it. And it's the same thing when you say, I'm stressing or I'm stressing out. This type of thing. You have to be an active participant. Just like if you're cooking or you're walking or you're driving, hiking, anything like that, you have to be an active participant. It's not happening to you. You are involved in that. And once you realize that, then you can change it. And that is a critical breakthrough I want you to get from this video. I don't know if you're familiar with Viktor Frankl, who was a World War II Holocaust survivor, but he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And in there, he said some things that really help you when you look at, am I being stressed or not? And here's the main thought right here. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. The critical thing here is once you give something meaning, that determines how you're going to process it. So the meaning you give then takes you down a different path. If I'm seeing this one way, it's going to take me down this path, another way, this one. A good example of that is what Stanford University did when they did some research on stress. And if people saw it as a challenge, then they got positive benefits from it. If they saw it as a threat, then they got negative chemicals in their body and all these negative kind of reactions. So it was the same thing. It was some type of thing where they had it could have been seen as stressful, but did they view it as a challenge and then they got the positive benefits of it? Or did they see it as a threat and then they had all the negative consequences that we know about stress? So here, the key is how you reframe something or how you frame it. Are you framing it as something that's positive? Because you can have stress that propels you forward, promotes growth, those types of things. Or you can have stress that debilitates you, crushes you, just makes you want to stop. And how you frame it is critical. You might be thinking, well, what's the big deal? Well, what's the cost of being stressed? You want to look at physically, stress speeds up the aging process. Now, I can tell you, people always say, well, what's a good example? Use examples, these kinds of things. Well, look at me. I'll be 57 in a few months. And if you look at people similar to my age, they have a lot more aging going on. So I think that stress, if you're letting it affect you, it's going to physically age you quicker. And if you can find ways to let it just come and go, water off a duck's back, those types of things, you're going to look a lot better physically. So that's one of the benefits of not being stressed. Or one of the costs of being stressed is aging faster. Next, we have mentally. Stress will shrink the front part of your brain. And I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on YouTube here, but it does shrink the front part of your brain, which is responsible for memory, learning, decisions, those types of things. So if you want to have better decision making, you want to have less stress. Because once you have that stress in your body, in your mind, all this, what it's doing is it's impacting you and it's literally shrinking your brain. So you're going to be worse off. Maybe you won't notice it today, but what about a decade, 2 decades? You're going to notice that impact. And the third part is emotionally. And what it does is it distorts how you see things. And you see things more as a threat. Because when you're in that heightened, stressed feeling, your body naturally is just going to be looking around for what is a threat, what is a threat. And you're going to filter out the good things. So stuff could happen at work, at home, and you're going to see the worst case stuff when you're stressed out. It's just how we operate. Now, you don't have to do it that way. You can see reality in a better way when you lower the stress. But when you're stressed, you're not seeing reality. You're seeing a distorted version of reality that's not in your benefit. Okay, to help you out, I want to give you 3 techniques you can use right now that'll help you lower your stress. The first one is called 4-7-8 breathing. And that is you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 7, and then you exhale for 8. So it's 4-7-8. So breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. So you're breathing in your nose for 4, holding for 7, and exhaling out your mouth for 8. And this is something my doctor recommended to me many years ago, and I found it very good. For me at the time, it was to help me fall asleep, and it helped me sleep better. So that's another side benefit. If you need to close your mind at night or calm down, that can help you. But this is something you can do anytime. And they recommend at least 4 cycles of going through that. I find that highly beneficial, so check it out. Okay, the second technique is something I got from Janelle, my partner, and she talks about thought loops a lot and how we have these thought loops that just rotate in our mind and we get stuck there, okay? So you cannot have 2 thoughts going in your mind at the same time. I know a lot of people think they can, but I'm going to do another video. I'm going to have about 8 screens on the TV at once and have you see if you can capture everything that's going on, and you're not going to be able to. But for right now, just know that you cannot have 2 thoughts going on in your mind at the same time. You can switch tasks from one thing to another, but at any moment, it's 1 thought at a time. So what you want to do if you're having the stressful thoughts is you want to replace them or substitute them with something that's helpful. So a couple ideas, and there's a whole bunch of them. I could go into a whole video on this, but just something like, I don't need to solve everything right now. Because a lot of times we feel when stress happens, it's like, oh, I got to get this done. I got to get that done. All these kinds of things. But if you have the thought, I don't need to solve everything right now, sometimes that thought alone can just kind of lower the stress and get you more relaxed. Then another thought might be, let's take this 1 step at a time. A lot of times we get overwhelmed and stressed out when we see how big something is and how dynamic and all the steps and everything. And if you just break it down into a simple step, then that's a lot easier. What's the next thing I need to do? Or you could ask yourself some helpful questions to break these thought loops, such as, what is a small action I can take right now to feel better? What's a small action I can take right now to feel better? Just something like that can help change you, because the thing you're trying to do here is shift your focus, shift your thoughts from ones of stress to something that's more positive and helpful and supportive. The third and final technique I'm going to go over here quickly is EFT tapping. EFT tapping. And that is something I've done in other videos, but I find it really useful. And as I mentioned in other videos, it's great to do on a partner too, because it's just really helpful. And EFT tapping, there's like 10 body points. One of them is like on the top of the head, so you tap there. Then you can do the sides of the eyes. You can do right where the eyebrows kind of come, right here in the middle. You can tap here. You can tap below the eye. Tap below the nose, above the mouth, on the chin. You got right here where your collarbone is, off to the side of that. I'm not going through them all right now. I'll put a link to the video where I go in great detail on this. But then also, like on the side of your hand here, you can, it's called the karate chop one, you can do it on the side of your hand. Then it's not like if your hand right here, it's like a little bit further down, on so a little bit further down below your wrist, you can do right there. Now, again, like I said before, I'm not a doctor, but these are acupressure points, and when you go through this cycle and go through and tap all these things on your head, your eyebrows, the side of your eyes, all these things, what it does is it lowers your cortisol levels. It lowers the stress in your body just by doing these simple things. And I guarantee you, if you try this, you're going to like it. I haven't heard of anyone who's done this that said, that didn't help. I mean, it really does work. And if it doesn't work, send me an email or put a thing in the comment, and you'll be the first one that I've heard of. So anyway, that's the third technique, is that EFT tapping. To stop doing stress, you have to know what's triggering it. And there's several things, but we're just going to look at 4 of them right now. The first one is the fear of failure. And the root of the fear of failure is you don't feel good enough. Yes, I know, we're bringing that up again, but that is such a problem. When you don't feel good enough, then you have the fear of failure, and that fear of failure is causing stress. So that's another reason why to work on that and feel that you are enough. And again, I have a lot of videos on that. I feel like I'm promoting all my other videos in this video. But anyway, fear of failure is the first thing, and not feeling good enough. The next one is time pressure. When you feel this sense of time pressure, it's like your world is like closing in on you and you're running out of oxygen, you're running out of time. That is something that triggers a lot of people into feeling stressed. So realize if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Everything happens for a reason, happens in the time and place it's supposed to. So just have a little more flexibility with yourself and relaxation, and realize that I don't have to be perfect. No one else is perfect. The next one is scarcity mindset. And here you feel like there's not enough. There's not enough to go around. And because there's not enough to go around, you're going to miss out. And feeling that there's not enough and you're going to miss out, that is causing you stress, anxiety. Oh my goodness. So that scarcity mindset, we always talk about like abundance and scarcity. Well, here's another example where a scarcity mindset has impacts on you that you might have not known, and it's causing you stress. The last one is unresolved emotions. So you have maybe baggage from the past, guilt, regret, things like this. What that does is it keeps you stuck in the past in a way that is harming you, hurting you, causing you to be stressed. Because when you have guilt and regret just bubbling up all the time, it's more likely to cause you stress. The big takeaway I hope you get from this video is that stress is not inevitable. It is a choice. It's a choice that you make, and often it's a habit, and it's a habit that we just get into. We don't even realize we're doing it. But number one, notice when you're stressed. Notice what's triggering you. Notice like, oh, I'm feeling stressed right now, okay? Because if you can't become aware of it, it's going to be hard to change. So once you notice it, that's step one. Step two is break the cycle. I've given you a lot of different ideas in here on how to break it. It could be the tapping. It could be changing your thoughts, changing your focus, different things like this. And then number three is replace it with a better choice. So something that's empowering, something that's supportive. And again, we've gone over that in this video. Now, what I'd like from you is to share your experiences in the comments. Like what works for you, what doesn't work. Try some of these things, let me know. I really encourage you to be your own experimenter, your own scientist. See what works for you. There's lots of research out there, but what I found best is when I actually go through and try to see what works for me. Does this work? Does that work? You know, combination of things. And then let me know in the comments. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. All the best to you.